Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Monday Kick in the Pants. Angela Fallon here. And of course, as soon as I go live, my neighbor starts mowing the lawn. So if you can hear that in the background, I apologize. Coming to you every week to bring you a gentle push to help you level up in your life, fill you with a dose of Monday motivation. Hopefully, I can get my words out all right and provide tips to accelerate your success in your life and in your career. Welcome back to everybody for this Monday. It's a little dreary here in Texas. It's a little chilly too, which is kind of nice. It's kind of weird to have it hot. I think it was like 80, high 80s and maybe even low 90s last week, which is weird after having it be like 33 the week of Halloween. But I promised you guys last week when I talked about a book or books that I've been reading from these two authors, Dr. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan, who have been co-writing books that I've read two of them now. The first one I read that I'm going to talk to you about today is The Gap and the Gain. And the one I talked to you about last week was how going 10x is easier than going 2x. So, multiplying your personal development more. I've got something to find in the air. Or your success, your financials, going 10x is easier than 2x. That's what I talked about last week. So if you missed that, go back to last week's recording. It's out there on all the platforms that we stream on. So go back and check it out there. But this week, I wanted to talk to you about The Gap and the Gain. This is actually a book that another online coach recommended. She's like, oh, it's such a great book. If you don't follow Amy Porterhouse, she's awesome. She does a lot of online training courses and she has so much amazing stuff out there. But she's the one that told me about this book, The Gap and the Gain. And I love it because it's really about two ways of thinking. So I'm going to give you the cliff notes about the main things, but the book goes into it way more than I'm going to today. And they talk a lot about the how also on how you do things. And then in the who. So they talk about, how do you do things? And then who should you get to help you do things that you shouldn't be doing as well. So the who and the how, which I think they have a book on that as well. I'm pretty sure that's one of their other books I haven't read yet. But I wanted to talk to you about just the thought process of the gap and the gain. And what I mean by the gap and the gain is many people, especially entrepreneurs, high achievers, think people like that, sometimes you can call them red if you're, a high D, if you're doing the DISC evaluation, or what's the other one you use? Type A. We talk about type A's all the time, right? People who are go-getters. So the thing I love about the gap and the gain is it's two ways of thinking. When you're in the gap, you're focusing your thoughts on the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. And when I think about that, I think about how do you measure? How do you look at yourself and make an assessment of where you are now? Many people who are in those type A, like I said, high achieving, constantly on the go kind of people are always looking forward. Always looking forward. And some people say, you know what, that's great. That's how they've gotten to where they're at. They're always anxious about getting to the next place. And I'll be honest, I'm that way a lot. There's times where I complete something and I just immediately move on to the next thing. I don't celebrate it very well. I don't sit and get excited about the things that I just completed. I'm just ready to move on to the next thing. And that's really gap thinking. It's how you measure from where you are now to where you want to be. The only problem I would say with that is you're always looking for the next thing. You're never thankful for what you've done. And that's the difference between the gap and the gain. So the gain, let's talk about that for a second. Gain thinking is you always focus on how far you've come. So it's actually a way of looking at the gains you have from where you've started from. And that's more about measuring backwards. I just finished something. Let me look at what I've learned in this process. What have I accomplished in this process? And maybe it's only like a 2% incremental gain, but it's still a gain. And a lot of times we take advantage or we take for granted all of the things that we've learned along the way, where we've come from, and just say, yeah, but that's expected. That's expected. I've been a leader in my company since 2010. 2010, I've been a leader. And it's kind of interesting to look back and think of all of the gains I have to get to where I am now. Now, I've been in the same level for 4 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. I'm on my fourth job in this same level. And I can look at that and say, I've done nothing. I've been at this level for 4 jobs now. Um, I've gained nothing. Or I can look backwards and say, or think to myself, well, I haven't moved to that next promotion yet. I've gained nothing. That's not true. So when I force myself to think about what I've done in these last 4 roles, even though they're at the same level, I have grown in multiple ways in doing different things. For instance, I've grown from being only at one business area in my company to a second business area. I'm learning a new customer. I'm learning a new platform, different products. I'm meeting new people that do things maybe a little bit differently than my last business area did. I've learned a lot in these 4 roles that you could say that maybe I didn't grow any because I didn't promote, but I've learned lots of other things along the way that have really grown me as a person, grown me as a leader, and broadened my horizons about other things I can do within my company. So I've gained a lot, even though I haven't promoted. So gap thinking is I haven't promoted to that next level. Gain thinking is I measure backwards and say, wow, I have learned a lot in these last 4 roles. They're all very different. And I used to run a $1 billion development program in my very first role at this same level. And the one I'm in now is 3 times that size. It's kind of big. Yeah, that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. So, gap measuring though. So whenever you look forward and keep saying, okay, like I said, okay, well, I haven't made that promotion yet. And the problem with that thinking is it's always a moving target because nothing's ever good enough to us. Whenever you think about the type of personalities that most of us have, with high achieving people, type A people, is once you get one thing, it's time to move on to the next thing. Okay, I like this Lexus. The next car's a Porsche. Things like that, right? It's nothing's ever enough as opposed to looking backwards. And one of my favorite takeaways that I want to share with you all from this book is the one main way that the 2 authors recommend you to do in order to stay in gain thinking is to write down 3 wins every day. And I do it almost every night now. So I wrote down the 3 wins that I had yesterday, and they could be something as simple as people would say, okay, well, all I had was failures yesterday. Okay, well, what did you learn from that failure? Maybe that's a win. Yeah. One of mine is I went to church, even though it was me and my 10-year-old this weekend. My other 2 boys were out hunting with my husband and my dad and lots of family. So we made it to church, just the 2 of us, and I still managed to serve whenever I'm supposed to serve before the 11 o'clock and make sure that my kiddo got to his class and out of his class and got to chat with some friends. And that was a win for me. I got some special time that normally all of my kids and my husband are like, can we go eat something right after church? I don't get to just kind of lollygag around and hang out and talk to friends at church. So that was a big win for me. I got a manicure yesterday, which is self-care, and it was nice to get it done. I was probably about a week overdue. That was one of my wins. And then I helped my youngest son yesterday find ways to remember the capitals for the southeastern part of the U.S. because he has to have a test on them, I think today. He has to know the capitals. He has to know how to spell them, which is one of his struggles is spelling, and know where they go on the map. So that I feel like that was a huge win for me last night. That I got to spend time with him and help him with that and give him some interesting ways to remember it. And then you're supposed to project what you think your wins are going to be tomorrow. And so I wrote down wins for today. So far, I'm doing one of them. I have another one here in a few minutes. I expect to have time with our COO today, and that's really exciting too. So there's a couple things that I wrote down for tomorrow, but this is something you can do every day. And what really helps you about measuring backwards, so what were your wins for the day and what do you expect for to be tomorrow? You don't have to be right about what they're going to be for tomorrow, but Whenever you measure your wins every day you're going to feel like you're winning. It keeps you in that confidence, it keeps you in that positive mood, and it's going to help you continue to move forward too and make progress as you measure your wins every day. So that's your action for all of you today, is try to stay in the gain mentality, the gain thoughts in your head. Focus on your wins each day. If you can write down 3 simple wins every day and then try to project what they are for tomorrow, 3 wins you may have tomorrow. You may be surprised how happy you're going to be, how positive and optimistic you might be, and how you feel like you're winning every day, because you're measuring your wins every day. So that's what I have for you today. And I really hope that this was value to you and maybe encourages some more confidence in you and feel like you're going to win every day. So I highly recommend that you guys measure your wins every day. If you haven't read The Gap and the Gain, I highly recommend that as well. I listen to it on Audible. There's some of the chapters that I've listened to multiple times. So go out there and do this for yourself. And you may be surprised at, how you feel whenever you're going through this process. So I do want to remind you all that if you are feeling overwhelmed or behind, just remember that you're in the right place and it's the right time. All right. I hope you guys have a great Monday and a great week. Y'all take